How to identify high-yield USMLE Step 1 content. If you are preparing for the United States Medical Licensing Examination, Step 1 and want to know how to identify high-yield content, you are in the right spot. High-yield content refers to the topics and concepts that are frequently tested and have significant clinical relevance. Understanding how to pinpoint this information can make a big difference in your study efficiency and exam performance. First, let's clarify what high-yield content includes. It's not just about topics that appear often on the exam. It also involves integrating core basic science principles with clinical application. For example, fundamental concepts in physiology, pathology, pharmacology, and biochemistry are essential. These concepts form the basis for understanding disease mechanisms and treatments. Next, focus on common diseases and conditions. You should know their pathophysiology, clinical presentation, and management. Additionally, familiarize yourself with frequently tested biochemical and physiological pathways. Information that links basic science knowledge directly to clinical decision-making is also vital. Topics that cross multiple disciplines, such as diseases involving pathology, microbiology, and pharmacology, are particularly important. Using established resources can help you identify high-yield content effectively. Review widely accepted study guides like First Aid for the United States Medical Licensing Examination Step 1. These guides summarize high-yield topics based on exam trends. Question banks, such as UWorld, are also beneficial. They reflected the frequency and emphasis of topics on the actual exam. The repetition of certain topics in these question banks often indicates their high-yield status. Taking National Board of Medical Examiners self-assessments can provide insight into the most relevant tested concepts. These assessments are developed by exam creators and can be a great resource for understanding what to focus on. Prioritize core subjects that consistently contribute to a large portion of exam questions. Key areas include pathology, pharmacology, microbiology, physiology, and biochemistry. Understanding disease mechanisms and manifestations in pathology is essential. Knowing drug mechanisms, side effects, and clinical uses in pharmacology is equally important. Applying the Pareto principle, or the 80-20 rule, can also be helpful. This principle suggests that about 20% of the content accounts for approximately 80% of the exam questions. Concentrating your study efforts on this smaller subset of high-yield topics can maximize your efficiency. Integrating and connecting concepts is another effective strategy. High-yield content often involves understanding how different systems and disciplines interact. For instance, linking the biochemical pathway of thyroid hormone synthesis to its clinical disorders and pharmacological treatments is more beneficial than memorizing isolated facts. Active learning techniques can reinforce your knowledge. Creating flashcards or using Anki decks focused on high-yield facts and pathways can be very effective. Regularly testing yourself with practice questions targeting these areas will help reinforce retention and application skills. Lastly, stay updated on exam trends. The United States Medical Licensing Examination Step 1 evolves over time, with some topics gaining or losing emphasis. Following updates from official United States Medical Licensing Examination, content outlines, and trusted medical education platforms will help you adjust your focus accordingly. Identifying high-yield United States Medical Licensing Examination Step 1 content involves focusing on fundamental concepts with clinical relevance, using trusted study resources, prioritizing core subjects, applying efficient study strategies, and continuously integrating knowledge across disciplines. This approach will prepare you effectively for the exam.